Welcome back to Can We Be Friends, the podcast that feels like those intimate chats you have with your nail tech, or your barber, or even your dog. You know the ones. If you are new here, my name is Walter. I'm an up-and-coming music artist, and I also am a nail tech, which means I get to meet new people every day in the salon who share a level of intimacy and openness I struggle to find in the music industry. And so in an attempt to find some realness, I created this podcast, an open forum for artists to chat human to human, so you can get an insight into the lives of an artist while I bedazzle the shit out of their nails. Today's special guest wears her heart on her sleeve and guitar, where she writes honest old country music that transcends beyond the speakers of your car or record player. Performing at Australia's biggest country festival, CMC Rocks, as well as appearing at Big Sound and touring the nation, this artist continues to push forward, creating a future that her younger self would be so proud of. Her crowdfunded works have made their way up the ARIA country album charts and have landed her a recent signing with old country label Cheatin' Hearts Records. Hailing from Gladstone, this heartfelt country star just released her sophomore album, Girlhood, and I'm very excited to be diving into how it all came about, as well as design some nails to match her tour outfits. Please welcome to the podcast, my friend, Hayley Marsten.
Thank you for having me. What a joy it is.
Oh, the mics really are a bit funny.
It feels, I don't know, it feels like there's a lot of echo.
It is. I'm really hoping our dear friend Cody McWaters can fix this up. And to everyone listening, I always have mic problems on my podcast. We know that. The audio is not the best. We have no funding for this. And
if you'd like better audio quality, send Chloe some money.
Send me some money.
Yeah.
This is actually another thing I wanted to speak to you about. Today we've decided we're talking about grants.
We're talking about
grants. You know what else I want to talk about? You crowdfunding your albums. Yeah. Getting people to help. I need money for this audio of this podcast. I need money for my album. I need money for a lot of things. And my day job actually just funds my my rent and my groceries. Mm-hmm. So that's actually what I would love to talk about.
Okay, let's chat about it then.
Let's just start with grant writing.
Okay.
So you said to me before you have won. Is winning? Do you win it? You'd be granted it?
You kind of win it. Or you're granted successful.
A grant.
Yes, that's why they call it that.
Yes.
Yeah, I grew up in Gladstone, which is a town in central Queensland, a regional little
Gladstone.
place.
I know it.
And my mum works for a not-for-profit in Gladstone, and so she is quite across grant funding within that role. And she was like, you should apply for this regional arts development grant. And I think the first time I got it to go and record my first EP with Bill Chambers, who's Casey Chambers' dad.
Whoa.
Yeah, love you, Bill.
That's cool. How old were you?
I think I might have just turned 19 and I wrote this grant.
That would have been really cool at the time, being that age, right?
Yeah.
It's cool at any age. But
it was very much somebody actually thinks that I'm good for the first time. I got a grant to go and do that. And then I think I also got a grant the following year to go to the Academy of Country Music, which is a professional development course that the Country Music Association in Australia does. And I got grants to go and film music videos in Gladstone. And then when my second EP came out, I got money from the Arts Queensland to launch that in Gladstone and have it filmed. And it was a very big woohoo show. I had costume changes.
Wow.
And I was honestly so iconic of me. I was only 23 and I learned how to play the piano for this one song.
Wow.
And I had a video that played on the stage, and then as the video was playing I got this massive ball gown skirt on over the top of my outfit, and then appeared at the back playing the grand piano. I was so dramatic.
I love that though.
And then I walked through the crowd back up to the stage.
Yes.
And sang the last chorus. And yeah, it was a lot of work. That was the biggest show that I've ever put on.
So it wasn't necessarily monetary value. They didn't say it's $10,000 that you get to, or was it that?
I think, look, I'm pretty sure I got 10 grand to do that show.
Okay, right.
Because the Gladstone Entertainment Centre, love you, but it was very expensive.
Right. Okay.
So most of it was going on that. And then I did a lot of it myself as well. Like I had a special costume made. It was a whole to do. And then I had a band to pay. But all of the other things was kind of me. Like I made projections and videos and stuff for the show. Yeah, honestly, I look back and I'm like, who was that? I don't know how I did that.
That's cool though.
So I did a lot of grant funding at the start of my career. And then the crowdfunding thing kind of came later on.
Okay. I have so many questions.
Okay. I feel like I've just talked so much.
That's what a podcast is for.
Well, yeah.
I actually just want to check one audio thing before I ask a billion questions. Hello.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yes.
This is now we're cooking with oil.
This is, to be honest, I think it'll sound like this the whole time.
Yeah.
I just changed how it sounds to us in our in-ears.
Great. Amazing. Amazing.
The first thing I want to mention is for people who don't know what a grant is, maybe you're new to hearing about how musicians finance their music. But there's always grants out there for musicians. Or
even grants for I always look at grants for small businesses as well and see if I can fit into that because
interesting. Where do you look? Wait, first of all, grants are pretty much you can apply if you fit the criteria to win a grant, and then if you win it or you're approved or they want to give you the grant or whatever, you usually get either a certain amount of money that's offered or they will offer something as part of it, like maybe they're going to fund your show or tour.
They give you the money. So all the grants that I've gotten, they usually will have a cap of you can apply for up to 10 grand. Let's say for some, or if you're an individual or if you're a community group, then that's more. And I usually try to apply for as much as I possibly can because on a general scale, there's parameters of what most grant funding will and won't cover. You can't just say, I want to buy a new guitar.
Yes. A lot of it's usually to do with community and...
Yeah, it's to do, especially for Arts Queensland, to my understanding, I'm obviously not the Arts Queensland spokesgirl. It's more expanding the skills of Queensland arts workers and artists and also expanding the reach of Queensland artists and arts workers. So are you doing something that's going to promote how great the arts are in Queensland?
Yes.
And there's not a whole heap of music specific ones. A lot of them are for everyone. So you're up against theatre groups and visual artists, dancers, all that kind of stuff.
Totally.
So, yeah.
The other thing I was going to ask is where do you go to find what grants are currently available to apply for? Where do you go to find all of them?
So I look on the Arts Queensland. I'm on the Arts Queensland mailing list and also the Q Music mailing list.
Okay, good to know.
And look, to be honest, a lot of the time when I was applying for these grants is when I used to work in retail and I was a really bad retail worker and I would just get on the computer and search for grants and apply for grants and write grants while I was standing on the shop floor.
What shop did you work
at? I worked at Sunglass Hut.
Okay. Nice.
I don't work there anymore, obviously.
Right. Okay. So my other question was I have only applied for one grant. What one was it? The
Carol Lloyd.
The Carol Lloyd Award. I've done it one time. And the reason I haven't applied for any prior to that was because I'm terrible at writing in general, which is weird because I write songs, but I'm not grammatically
adept.
I don't know how. Yeah. And even getting my thoughts to words for songwriting is a challenge for me. So writing grants is impossible. My mum helped me. Lord save my mum. She's the best ever. And just the thought of even applying for another one, it seems like a great idea. But the minute I look at them, I'm no.
It's also really daunting when you first open the application and there's so many things that you have to to write or include. You have to include letters of support from usually up to 3 people, and it's really,
you have to be organized. You can't do it the night it's due.
No,
I tried to do that.
It's not an assignment situation.
No, yeah, it's you got to kind of be prepared.
Yeah.
How long does it usually take you from opening the document, getting everything you need, writing it, to submitting it?
I think probably on actually doing it, probably maybe let's say 3 hours.
Okay, right. That's a lot less. Mine took maybe
But this is also
10
when I
hours.
know exactly what I want to do and I'm just powering it out.
How
not just the
professional are you writing it? Or are you writing it pretty very
It depends on what the grant, what it kind of stipulates that they're looking for. When I've applied for the Carol Lloyd grant, I think maybe 7 times. Never got it.
Okay.
Give it to me.
Interesting.
But it used to be through the Queensland Music Festival, and when they were running it, it was very much like more of like a feeling, like, you know, talking about your artistry rather than business, finance,
Yes.
kind of thing. And a lot of the grants I've applied for in the last couple of years have been really more like, show us your business acumen rather than tell us about your artistry. So
Okay,
I've sort of written it
interesting.
more as like a business-y kind of thing rather than I write about my feelings and I'm so good at doing that. It's more like I'm a great
Okay.
businesswoman and look at all these things I've achieved and give me
Okay.
money to keep achieving.
Right, I see. And how many have you actually won or been granted, like have been successful?
I think I maybe have won 4,
Okay, that's pretty good.
but I think it probably
And how many have you applied for?
so many.
So the
So
odds aren't
many.
super like,
Yeah, no.
They're
I
hard
also
to get.
I kind of got an easy ride at the start because I was applying for that regional arts development fund and there wasn't a whole heap of people in the arts community in Gladstone, so I kind of had a clear runway to
yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
Obviously I had to put the work in still, but it wasn't like I was fighting against every single artist in Queensland. For this record that's about to come out, I think I applied for 5 different grants and I got rejected from all of them.
Did you apply before you started writing the album or like once the album was done or during the middle process?
I started writing this album in 2020, so I've been applying for grants
Okay.
since then, and I really, really, really didn't want to crowdfund again because it's stressful. So I was trying to I was applying for grants that I had no idea what even existed. Like I applied for this Linktree passion fund thing and I got into the People's Choice. And if I had
Wow.
have won that, it would have been $20,000 US.
Wow.
And the other people in the People's Choice, like it was me being like, I want to write songs. And it was like people who were making like bionic hands for
Okay, wow.
the medical community and saving
Oh
the
my gosh.
rainforest. And I'm
Okay,
just like,
right.
but vote for me so I can sing my silly
yeah.
little songs.
I see.
I didn't win that one. I think I ended up getting like a bronze prize, which was like $1,000.
I mean,
which is still
that's better than
great.
nothing.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's a lot. It's a lot of. I have a. I was telling somebody this recently, and they're like, "That's depressing." But I have a folder in my email inbox called rejection emails
Okay.
that I can just, I guess, look back on all the times
You were rejected.
that I was rejected.
Comer is
which-
my boyfriend. When
That's
you're successful.
right. Yeah.
Oh my God. And that's the video clip. All
Yeah,
the emails.
just me scrolling through.
Just putting them on
this
blast.
occasion, you have been unsuccessful. We received an
Wow.
overwhelming amount of great quality
I
applicants.
feel like that is kind of a cool thing to look back on.
yeah.
Eventually.
I'm a morbid person that I'm like keeping.
I feel like that kind of shows like how much you've
yeah.
persevered, you know?
Yeah. I feel like I look
I
at
can
other people's
see-
career and it was like, I don't know. There's just been a lot of no's before anyone
I
said
feel like
yes.
we kind of have had a weirdly similar, like, even when I was listening to your album and I was reading on your website about the stuff you'd written about your album,
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like we've lived similar lives in the music industry.
It's been a time.
You know? But the other thing I was going to ask is, have you always been good at writing in general? Like, were you good at English at school? Like,
Yeah.
okay, right.
She said so modestly. I was a very annoying teenager who really wanted to do well in school. I just have unrelenting standards and
So
somehow
like writing a
sometimes it's
grant
worked.
for you is like not the hardest thing.
No, it's more like, writing an essay.
Were you successful with any grants for this album?
No.
Okay. And what were the ones you were applying for? What was offering? Like, what are you looking for? Someone to like,
All I was asking for was for them to pay for the recording process. To be honest, like looking back at the amount of money I have spent on this record and am about to spend is a drop in the ocean. So yeah, I just wanted someone to like a grant funding body to pay for my producer fees and the fees of my session musicians because I'm a solo artist, so I don't have, I'm not a band bringing my whole
yes.
gang in. And then to pay for it to get mixed and mastered. And then I would still have to foot the bill for it to get pressed and to market it and distribute it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, totally.
I think that might have been it.
Yeah.
And no, rejected.
I see.
So I was planning to do this record much sooner, but I couldn't get grant funding or any funding for it. So
is the reason it's taken since, well, it hasn't taken so long. It usually takes that amount of time to
I guess because
write and do an album.
Because Spectacular Heartbreak came out in 2019 and I had this vision in my head that I would be releasing an album every 2 years because I don't know, I thought that was the thing that you do.
It was the thing.
And that has not been the thing because it's been 4 years.
And was it the funding that made you have to like wait, or was it just like the process in general?
It was the funding that held me up, and I also originally couldn't get a producer. I had a lot of rejection from a lot of producers as well. But like looking back, it definitely was all for the best because like I didn't even write the title track of this album until January. So
yeah, okay, wow.
If the record had been done in
like
September.
the January just gone.
Yes.
Wow.
I decided I wanted to call it Girlhood, and that is just like one word in one line of another song. And I'm like, that's such a good word though. I don't want to put this record out without having a song called Girlhood on it. And so I just was like, I'm just going to write it and it's just going to be great. And I did.
Amazing.
So yeah, I feel like if I'd gotten the funding earlier or if a different producer had said yes, then it wouldn't have worked out this way.
I'm Fine, Thanks would be the title.
Yes.
I read it.
Which
is a great song, by the way.
But it's not her name.
But it's not Girlhood.
No.
I really like the name Girlhood.
Thank you. I feel like it's way more of an encapsulation.
It does.
Of
like I'm Fine, Thanks. You're like, ooh.
Yeah.
Intrigued.
Yes.
What are you saying? Girlhood is just like, you kind of get it straight away.
Yeah.
Like I
feel like
understand.
I'm Fine, Thanks is when I thought that the whole record was going to be about me being depressed. And I thought it would be really funny if the album was called I'm Fine, Thanks, but all the songs are about me being really sad.
Yes. Okay.
Because I'm insane.
Yeah. I actually have a song that's kind of like on a similar tangent that's going to be on my EP, but it's so simple. This is why I feel like we've lived the same life. The shit you were talking about in your album, I'm like,
bitch,
this is like the same. It's the same feelings I've been through, I feel. Before we go into talking about crowdfunding, what did you want to do with your nails?
The record background is like a holographic purple glitter. Could we do something like that?
We could totally do something like that.
Yeah. I used to have like such beautiful long nails and then I had to chop them all off.
You had to be talented and play guitar.
Yeah, it's a heavy cross to bear, but someone's got to do it.
I wanted to actually talk about growing up, how you got into music. You obviously grew up in Gladstone.
Yeah.
How did you first get into music? What was your first initial introduction?
I am an only child and I can't really remember not wanting to be in music. I used to write songs when I was like 5 and I had my
What made you write songs?
I was just bored and I love attention. I'm a show pony. Like I was like...
Because I'm not an only child, but I was a show pony. But I never wrote songs. Like I used to put on costumes and come down and do like either a fashion show or a little dance or just mainly a fashion show actually.
My parents used to have a lot of dinner parties when I was growing up. My dad is an accountant and he would often have clients over or like mum and dad would just have their friends over and I would have to like entertain the children of these people. And I was like, great, supporting people in my show. And we put on like talent shows. Okay. I also really like to put a piece of sticky tape on my cheek and then draw like a radio mic on it, like a Britney mic.
Yes. Okay, right.
And then we had...
Pop star from the get-go.
That's right. Then we had downlights in our lounge room. So I'd put the one downlight on and every other light would be off. So it would be like a spotlight. My mum, I like remember begging my mum to let me buy like a shitty plug-in microphone because I just always wanted to be on stage. And then as I got older, we would like make music videos as well and then come and show the parents like,
okay,
this is all stuff that I now do for reals.
Were your parents musical or who was like your first, who did you see on the TV or like a magazine or something that made you be like, I want to do that? And at what age did you go like, I actually want to do that and I'm going to do it? It's not just like me being funny in front of my family.
I don't remember ever not being like, I'm going to be a pop star.
Okay, from the get-go, out the womb.
Out the womb, let me at it. But my parents are not musical. My dad's an accountant. My mum is a business manager. They're not particularly musical people or like.
What did they listen to? What was playing around
We
the
listened to a
house?
lot of pop music. My mum is a very big Kylie Minogue fan, Robbie Williams.
Yeah.
My dad had a very eclectic music taste. His favorite band is Ace of Base. Yeah, I think I was like brought up on a very strong diet of pop music and like 80s pop music. And I think through that I kind of learnt how to write a hook because I was constantly listening to
Pop.
like Cher. We listened to a lot of Cher.
Okay.
Yeah.
What got you into country?
Taylor Swift.
Really?
Yeah. I really hated country music growing up. I thought it was the worst because, yeah, I mean, all the country music I'd ever heard was people singing about tractors and
Yes.
the farm, and I could never relate to that. Like, Gladstone is a rural town, but we didn't live on a farm. And then my friend was doing a dance, an interpretive dance. No, I don't think it was interpretive.
It was
I don't
just
even
a
know.
self-choreographed.
She was doing a dance.
Terrible dance.
Like at the Eisteddfod to White Horse by Taylor Swift. And she was like, I think you should listen to this album. I think you'd really like it. And then, yeah, I listened to Fearless and I was like, holy shit, this was written
Fearless,
just for me.
I don't know. Yeah, that was in my mum's car in the CD player, like the car CD player.
Yeah.
The whole of my year 7
Yeah.
to and from school trips was that album.
Yeah.
That's so interesting because I thought, maybe you listen to a lot of country music. Maybe you were influenced, maybe people in your family were country artists, maybe because you grew up in Gladstone. Like that's what I'm thinking, but it wasn't at all. It was straight up just you just
none
decided.
of my family are musical. None of
Wow.
them have no one has. I'm like the only person who has a career in the creative industries. Everyone else has
Wow.
very like sensible jobs.
When you graduated school then, did you say to them, what did you do after school?
Well, I wanted to be a musician like always. My parents ended up making me do accounting instead of music in high school. They were on the same block and they were like, you can do music, you still have guitar lessons and stuff, but accounting's a really good skill to have. And I'm like, okay.
Honestly, maybe now. Like
Well, no.
included in your music.
Because I don't know shit about fuck. Like I
Okay.
don't know.
Like budgeting, maybe? No.
Medium, but like
Tax?
I just
Doing
did
your
my
tax?
first bass.
Okay.
It made my head explode.
Okay. True.
Yeah, so I did accounting and I did really well in it and I topped the class and I got a bursary and they're like, this is for you to spend on your future studies in accounting, and I bought a guitar with it.
What did they say?
Well, I had the money, so that was none of
didn't
their
care.
business what I did
Okay.
with it. But it was really funny because the people who sponsored the bursary were my dad's like direct competition in Gladstone.
Oh,
So
I see.
It was a
That's
bit,
pretty funny.
you
You
bit
bought a
of tea.
guitar and I love that.
But yeah, none of my family were particularly musical. I mean, they'll probably all say that they were very good at SingStar,
Yes. Classic.
but
That was as far as it went.
that was it.
Did you go to uni or did you study anything after
Yeah,
school?
I took a gap year and just worked, and then I moved to Brisbane and I was enrolled, like I got into QUT to a Bachelor of Creative Industries, and then I deferred, and I originally thought I was going to go down there and study journalism because that seemed like a safer option than music. And then I was like, you know what? I don't want to study something that I'm not even passionate about. I'm just going to go.
It's an expensive thing to do.
Yeah. So I did a double degree in music and entertainment management,
Okay.
and I'm so glad that I did it now. I feel like it was a good foundation. I was
Yes.
also like painfully shy when I was at university.
I felt the same way about I studied music at QT, and most people hated the course because they were already writing songs and releasing music, and I had never done any of that. So for me, it was
I didn't get into I didn't even bother to audition for the one that you had to audition
Right,
for,
yes.
because I was like, well, I'm not going to get into that because
Wow.
I'm not good enough to do that.
Wow.
So I did like the music degree that you didn't have to audition for.
Interesting.
So I think that was basically everything in the music degree except for like the singing and the writing stuff. And I did some production units, which I hated.
So did I. Failed them anyway.
I remember this girl came in, she came in late and she sat next to me, and he was like, oh, if you have any questions, like raise your hand. She raised her hand and she's like, I don't understand this. And he's like, well, what don't you understand? She's like, everything. I'm like, oh, preach it, sister.
Me.
Like,
That was
finally.
me. That was probably me. Actually, the person that said that is probably me. That was my whole role at uni, was me going, I don't know any of it, actually.
But then he said to her, well, I don't understand. What do you mean you don't understand any of it? Oh, I don't understand. Like, I just don't get it. Well, have you been coming to class? Like, I don't understand how you wouldn't even know one thing about it.
I fully know
and
this
I was
teacher.
Like, oh,
I know the one.
Okay.
I know the one. That might have been me he was speaking to, actually, going, I don't understand. The teacher coming over and going, what do you mean? And I'm like,
I don't get
everything
any
you
of
said
this.
didn't process in my brain. And they're like,
it's like learning a different language. Like, it doesn't.
So crowdfunding.
Yes.
Something I think a lot of musicians and up and coming artists want to do. I mean, who doesn't want someone else to fund your?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, sign me up.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of people don't do it because of multiple reasons. But the ones I can think of why I haven't done it yet is, number one, I actually don't even know what platform I'd do it on. I actually don't even know how I would start that up. Two, how do I let my ego down and feel like actually make a post asking people to give me money and it not feel, why do I feel so uncomfortable with that?
I think you need to reframe it because you're not saying give me money for free. Like, you're offering rewards in return for this money. It's not like a charity case.
Yes.
And
I think this is such a good conversation because I've even had conversations with people all the time, my friends who do music, who, one, are too scared to post about their release that much because they don't want to force anything on you. Number two, are too scared to send emails to industry people because they don't feel like they don't want to be annoying.
You don't want to be a bother, yeah.
They don't
I
want to bother
definitely get the
anybody.
email thing. Look, I think the thing that was really a blessing for me is that I just let go of ever feeling embarrassed.
Yes.
If I was someone who got easily embarrassed, I would never have been able to have a career in music because it's the most embarrassing
It is really embarrassing.
thing.
You're really putting yourself out there in front of everyone.
So for crowdfunding for me, I did not go into it. And I also had a really good example set. One of my friends, Fanny Lumsden, who is just the most iconic of icons, she crowdfunded her first 2 albums. And I was a big fan of hers, and obviously I pledged and got involved and what have you. And she kind of just like set a really good example as to how you can pitch it as not give me money. It's more come and join us. Like be part of this community, be part of this album.
When I think of crowdfunding, when I think of it from myself doing it, I go, oh, I don't think anyone would want to, I feel sick. But when I think about my friends and stuff who, you know, I speak about the idea or maybe they're struggling to afford anything so they can't put music out.
Yeah.
And I always think to myself, why don't you do like a crowdfunding thing? Because people actually want to see you do this.
Yeah.
They actually would be so bummed if you never put any more music out because you cannot afford it. They would actually want to, they like your music. They like what you're doing.
And a lot of people just look at it as, there's also lots of people that I've pledged for their crowdfunding campaigns and their stuff hasn't come out yet. And I'm not like, where is that thing?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's obviously just taking time because it's important and it's special. But like people pre-order albums all the time. It's basically just people are pre-ordering your album before you make it so that you can go and pay for the recording.
Cool. And like how did you kind of promote because did you crowdfund both albums?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How did you like promote it initially to people and what platform were you using?
So I used a platform called Possible. There are many others. I just kind of did that one because I was like, well, I've seen other people do this, so I guess I'll just do that.
Does it cost money?
So they do take a service fee and then they take a percentage of whatever you raise.
Okay.
So there is a budgeting, that's not a word.
It can be a word.
You do
it's
need
now
to,
a word, everyone. It's now in the dictionary.
You do need to like budget in the fees that are going to come out. And also like at the end of the day, once you pay for the recording and then you also pay for all the rewards and the postage, which is a real killer, you're not really getting that much money. It's just sort of like a bit of a loan and then you have to pay back tenfold at the end. But it's like
Can I ask
helpful.
how much you made?
So for the first record, I made $17,500. So I think the other thing is that when I feel like I'm also speaking about this like very clinically, and I need to say that like people pledging for my albums literally made my career. I would not have been able to do anything without the people who pledged for those records.
Yes, totally.
Like
How many people was it? Do you know?
I think for the first one, it was about 230.
Okay.
And this last one was a little bit less.
And is it randoms? Is it mainly family? Is it mainly friends? Like,
my family did pledge a little bit, but like not a heap. I think, so when I crowdfunded my first album, I had done like minimal touring nationally with my friend Anna. We'd put on a bunch of shows together, like down the East Coast. And I'd also like opened for some other people in Tamworth. I'd played at like the talent search versions of bigger country festivals. So I had kind of a fan base, and I was really lucky that my first 2 EPs, actually I crowdfunded the second EP, a portion of it too, like $3,000.
wow.
I forgot I did that. Tee-hee. But I had gotten like fairly decent support from country radio on that first EP. So, you know, people did kind of know who I was, and I just took a chance because if you don't make the target, you can choose to do different versions. So you can do like, this is our target, and whatever we get, even if you don't reach that big number. Or you can do an all or nothing. And I did all or nothing for both.
What's all or nothing?
So I either get my target, which was for the first record was 15,000, and for the second record was 20 grand.
Otherwise,
Otherwise, no one gets, like, no one's bank account gets charged. I don't get any of the money that, like, if we had raised 17 grand for this, like, for Girlhood, and I didn't make the 20, then I would have got no money. So,
is that scary?
The last crowdfunding I did literally almost broke me. But for Spectacular Heartbreak, it was a little bit easier. It was also 2019. So
would you do all or nothing again?
no, I would never do crowdfunding again.
Oh, wait, you were about to convince me that I'm doing crowdfunding for my next EP.
I think because I've done it 3 times, I feel as though I'm not sure how many people. I don't think it's a sustainable model, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I definitely am so privileged and so glad that I did it for the first
Would
2
you
albums.
encourage people to do it?
Yeah. I think the thing is that you just have to remember that there's a lot of work that goes into, like, I didn't just, people ask me sometimes, they're like, oh, but you know, you just crowdfunded. I'm like, well, that's actually a lot of work went into that.
Yeah. Can you explain to me, like, when you crowdfund something, you're doing it through that platform, you're promoting it on social media, you're saying, you know, I'm crowdfunding this album. If you want to pledge, then join, you know.
Yeah.
Are you having to give them weekly content? Are you having to give them anything?
I was giving people daily content. So
and that's like exclusive, right?
Not particularly. Okay, so what I did, so for the first album, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just put up a rudimentary number and I was like, yep, I'll just do that. And so you also have like different tiers of rewards. So like the top tier, I think for both times was a house concert. So I would come to your house and
you did that.
I think only one person pledged for that on the first album. But you could pledge for as little, like if you pledge for less than $15, you get nothing. But like I think $15 is like a exclusive digital stream before the album comes out. This time around I did I think I did it both times. People could come and listen to the album before it came out. People could pledge to write a song with me. Yeah, I had a bunch of different rewards. And this time around, like when I did it for the second album, I really thought a little bit more deeply about how much it was actually going to cost me. And also making sure that I had stuff that was more experience-based, that was like not going to cost an arm and a leg for me to actually pull off.
Yes.
But I think the experience of it is really special. Like so for this one with the listening party, so in January, people came and listened to the album, without the title track because I'd only just written it. And then at the end of the album, I was like, and there's one more song and we're going to record it right now. And so the last song on Girlhood is a live song, and all of those people who pledged for that are on the album.
That's
clapping
really cool.
And like woohooing and stuff.
I was going to ask, so is the people that attended this listening party only the people who pledged?
They're only the people who pledged for the listening party. So there were different tiers.
So you can pledge for the listening party.
This is what I did. This is what I do every single time I release an album because this is who I am. I try and get as many pre-orders any way I can as possible. So I
How
can
do you get
charge.
pre-orders? Is it like pre-saving? No, separate. Pre-save
So
link.
pre-saving is free, but like that doesn't count towards the charts.
How do you make it count? Where do you get the pre-order from?
So, well, it's just
How
like
do you do this?
Okay,
I've never released an album.
On your online store, people will be able to, like, you can just set up the item on your online store
As like merch.
as a and you just say this is a pre-order item. It will come out on the day of release, and hopefully you sell a shitload.
Do you have to pay to pre-order it?
They will have, like, your fans.
How much?
Well, how much do you want to sell your EP for?
Well, that's such an interesting question because it's like I'll have CDs eventually.
Yeah.
And vinyl eventually later.
Yeah.
So
You
technically,
could get
like
CDs for the release.
Oh, that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
CDs for the listening
Easy.
party and the event. Maybe not the listening party. That's prior to it coming out.
Yeah.
CDs for the release.
Yes. So,
Vinyl later down the track.
yeah.
But people, because in my head, they're going to get the EP on Spotify for free anyway.
Yeah, but people sometimes, well, in country music, like, I still sell quite a lot of CDs.
And is pre-ordering it literally buying the physical copy, or is it actually just buying?
It's buying the physical. So the physical copies count towards the ARIA
So it is
chart
buying the CD.
as far as I'm aware. But
Okay.
you have to have the CD on the day of release to give to them.
Yeah.
So that's
to
the
like
thing.
have on the website to ship out.
So you ship it out the day that the EP comes out.
They've already
go
pre-ordered it and
Australia
it's
Post.
being shipped.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got you. So yeah, because I've never dropped an album. This is my first time, and it's an
Welcome.
EP actually.
It's exciting.
It is exciting. And I was actually going to chat to you about, I feel like you're an album artist. I feel like they don't, that's like a rarity.
It's a choice.
right
It's a
now.
choice that I've made.
Yeah. And I was going to speak to you about if you still think album artists and releasing albums more so, how you feel about that in the world of shorter, just
Yeah.
the world that music and social media and streaming and everything's going. How do you feel about remaining an album artist, remaining to put out albums, not feeling the pressure of having to release single
I
type?
feel that, like, I don't want to just release single because that's the way to do it. Like, that, I feel like the fully formed group of like an EP or an album is more exciting to me than just dropping singles after singles. And I think also, like, when an artist that I like drops a bunch of singles and then they drop the album and the album is just the singles and one extra song, I'm like, oh.
I fucking hate that, and that's what my EP is. But
No,
YOLO.
But I feel like there's like that you'd have to have a
I
value
hate that.
add. I want there to still be some surprises on Christmas morning.
That's going to go under the light, by the way.
okay.
And it might heat up and it can be a little bit painful.
Oh, should I take my ring off?
No, it's so fine. But if your hands get a bit much,
Okay.
just take it out and let it cool down and put it back under. But you should be fine. I just like to pre-warn.
Okay.
I hate when my favorite artists drop single, like the whole album, and then the album comes out and there's like 2 new songs. I'm like, fuck off. I was excited for this album and now I'm not because like
And
I've already heard all this.
That's kind of why we capped it, because I have had 5 song. Hang on. Drowning Myself, I'm Fine Thanks, Bittersweet at Best, I'm a Rich Man. Yeah, 5 songs have come off this album already. It's a 12-track album.
True. Okay,
So
like,
I still wanted there to be like surprises and stuff that people hadn't heard before, or stuff that we'd played live that people hadn't gotten to hear the recorded version of. So there would still be like something exciting.
I think like for me at the moment where I'm at, I think I just feel, and me and Kieran get into these conversations a lot because we're a little bit different here, but I feel as though I don't have many listeners at this point in time, which is so fine. And so I feel like to try
But you're
and
doing
maximize
like heaps of awesome stuff. Like Triple J, love you. That's how it looks from the outside, is that you're absolutely fucking killing it.
Okay. Because I don't think it feels like that.
I feel like
That's
it
a whole
never
other
feels like
bandwagon.
that.
No, that it doesn't feel like that,
Everyone's
eh?
like, oh my God, you're doing so well. And you're like, I'm having a mental breakdown.
Yeah. And I feel like Triple J, I still don't feel like they've really gotten, in my opinion, or no, it's not even
Is
an
this
opinion.
supposed to be lit up?
Yeah. It does only go for 60 seconds. It probably just
Oh,
was
okay.
done.
I was
but
like,
anyway,
did
that's
my-
fine. Triple J have given, thankfully, luckily, gratefully, I don't know how to feel about it, the singles from the EP play.
Yeah.
Amazing. Love that. But I feel for some reason that it's been a bit fluky every time. It hasn't been like a definite like.
I feel like it never is though.
Like I
Even
definitely
with-
have to email a couple times.
Yeah.
It's not just like one email and they're like, hell yeah, we can't wait for the next, love this, chucking it on tonight. It's like crickets and then me pushing again. So it's definitely still feels like a push to get my shit played.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're not fully on board yet. I still think I'm kind of like an artist they don't really know of yet.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm still, this is my first EP, so I feel like I'm still growing a following and working on that. And this will be like the first thing to really like have out there that I can build from.
Yeah.
So for me, I want to try and maximize getting my music to the listeners. And in my head, I'm like, how do you get people to hear my music? The best place right now is probably Spotify playlists for me. So if I can try and pitch as many singles from my EP for playlist pitching,
Absolutely.
I'm going to try that now.
Yeah.
But once I have a following, I definitely want to go back to that mentality of like only dropping like 2 or 3 singles before an album.
Yeah.
I want to do that eventually.
And I think that's how it kind of has to be at the moment.
Yeah.
If you're like.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't have listeners yet. But once, you know, like, so I'm trying to optimize pitching my songs for playlisting, and, you know, the more singles I drop, the more opportunities I have for them to be playlisted and then listeners. And then that's what I'm focusing on right now, trying to get my music to listeners.
Yeah.
But then I'm hoping once I actually have like somewhat of a following,
Yeah.
I can then
I feel like you have
focus
a
back on
following
the
though.
thing.
I feel like you're selling yourself a bit
Hello,
short
everyone.
here.
Hi.
Hi, all those Walter fans out there.
Are you listening?
This one goes out
'Cause
to you.
I don't know. I feel like maybe, I don't know. I think the reason why I feel like I don't really have that is because whenever I play shows, it predominantly is my friends. Like I
they're
don't
your
think I have
first
many.
fans
Yeah.
anyway.
Like I don't think I really have played a show where there's like people there that I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look, even now, I mean, I'm also not like, I wouldn't say extremely successful. A lot of my shows are people who I know who have like come to a show, and I don't know, none of them are just like, they've just appeared from nowhere and
True.
just like I've met
gonna
them
have to
because they saw me play at one little like live radio pop-up thing at a festival and kept coming to my shows. Like
And like I have had a
Yeah.
few people like follow me from like supporting people and then like message me being like, hey, I saw you tonight and I'm like such a fan now, or something like that, which is so
Yeah.
cool. But it's definitely not like I could sell out a show.
people don't buy tickets at the moment until like
People
the
also
last
don't.
second.
Yeah. People buy tickets at the door.
Yeah, which is so
No one
stressful for me
Yeah,
when
it
I'm
is.
looking at the budget of how much it's going to cost me to pay my band and
Yes.
fly my band to New
I
South
also
Wales.
was looking at how the hell you do that, because I
I'm in.
don't know how I could ever afford to do that.
Well,
Actually,
I can't, but I'm just
you're making the investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of just think about this tour. I also have never toured with my band before, and I've never really had like a steady, stable band who's like always playing for me. And now I finally do, and they're so amazing, and I'm so lucky to have.
Shout
Like,
out Hayley's band.
Yeah. Love you, Dan, Kieran, Matt, Deanne. They're so talented and like so patient and so just really great to be around. But yeah, I pay my band get a guaranteed paycheck every gig, and I don't.
I've heard it's a good one. Anyway,
Everyone wants to be in my band.
I'm like, how's Hayley doing that? Fuck.
I just kind of hope for the best. A lot of the time I'm relying on the merch desk to actually take some money home.
Okay.
So that's why I put a lot of effort into the merch that I sell.
Yes.
Which reminds me, I need to organize my tea towels. ASAP.
Tea towels.
Yeah.
Everybody, get a tea towel.
tea
They'll
towel.
probably be on sale
Well, yeah.
by the time this podcast is out.
probably
Knowing how long
they
it
have
takes me
to.
to edit
They
it.
have to come out by the time the album comes out, because people have pledged for them. And
Copper tea towel.
yeah,
That's
you'll
actually a
love
sick
it.
idea. I like
the
that.
tea towel has like a fake diner menu on it that says Grillhood, because my album's called Girlhood.
I love it. Yeah.
And then it has all the names of the songs, but grill inserted into it, because I think that's funny.
That is funny. I love that.
So the merch desk really is the
Is
only
where it's at.
place I make money.
Well, everybody,
Buy merch.
if you're going to a show, if you're going on the website,
buy it.
go cop some merch.
Yeah. We have pink vinyls, so, you know. We're
Amazing.
not fucking around.
Yeah, I love that. How was the vinyl pressing process? Have you done it before?
This is the first time I've had my album pressed on vinyl. It kind of was like a very niche thing when Spectacular Heartbreak came out.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, that's so expensive. And I really can't count on people buying that. So I just didn't do it. And it has been an expensive process this time around too. But I'm really lucky that I signed with a label earlier this year. So they're contributing some money to the vinyl, which is
Amazing. Did they choose who you went through, or how did you find the person to go?
I want to do this, so I'm doing it.
But like in terms of like the company that printed them.
Yeah, I said I want Suitcase Records.
Oh, and they did it. Oh, okay.
And
wait.
look how great they are. They're really great. Let's do it.
So you like just found them online?
I had already been speaking to them. I didn't even consider going to a label for this album. I had a wonderful mentor through a. You should apply for some mentoring as well. Not because.
How do you apply for that?
Not because like that sounded really like you.
No.
You needed advice.
No,
you're an idiot.
I actually would love any. This is what the podcast's for. Give me all your knowledge. This is the only reason I set it up. I just want everyone's knowledge.
Yeah, great.
For real.
I was really lucky that during the process of this album, I had two mentors. One through the APRA Women in Music mentorship.
Okay. I think I went to apply for that, and then maybe I did, or maybe I forgot.
Well, it's once a year, so you should apply for it next year.
Okay.
I think I got some money for that one as well. And they were like, you can put it towards mentoring or you can just pay your rent with it. We just want you to have it. And I was like,
Thank you.
Thank you, APRA.
Amazing.
So Adelita was my mentor through that, which was amazing. She is such an icon and I love her. And then I got another one through the Independent Record Label Association, also for women in music. And her name was Al Parkinson, who was also an icon. And she was like, I think that you should pitch this album to a label. I think it's really great. And I think you should reach out to Cheatin' Hearts Records. They look like they'd be doing some great stuff and they'd be a great fit for you. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I feel like I sometimes, like when you're self-managed and self-everything, you can't see beyond the weeds because you're just trying to get stuff done that you don't have time to think about like
all the
big picture stuff. And I was like, all right, I'll just send the email. And she helped me put the email together. And my friend Melody had just signed with them as well. So I was like, well, they're obviously like not weirdos. And yeah, I had a Zoom with them and they were really great. And they're like, basically straight away, we're like, yeah, we want to sign you. I'm like, shit, that was nice. So yeah, I'm really lucky to have.
And is it just for this album?
At the moment, yeah, it's just for this album.
That's really cool.
I still own the album.
Yeah.
Which is very important to me. And
how did you go negotiating that whole contract process? Did you have to get a lawyer?
Yeah.
And was it expensive? And do you think it was worth it? And
yes, 100%.
Okay.
So
what were like the benefits of having them on board with this album?
So I think the big thing for me is having Luke, the label head, who's just so lovely to work with and so it's just really nice to have somebody else to bounce ideas off of and to be like, you know what, I think that's a waste of our time, or no, let's do this. Like I didn't have a publicist for this album and for the first single that Cheatin' Hearts was on board for, which was called I Am a Rich Man, until
I am a rich man.
Thank you, yes. Until like a week and a half before it came out and I would have been shitting my pants. And he was like, no, look, I'm really confident that we'll find somebody. And he actually reached out to this person I'd wanted to work with for ages and was like, yep, she's on board. Let's have a Zoom. It's all happening. So I think the like relief of not having to do every single thing myself, or at least just having somebody else to say, hey, what do you think of this idea? Is this silly or is this, is this a good idea?
Totally.
Is so much of a comfort to me, and not having to worry about writing a pitch for Spotify.
How did you, this is a random question, but I like to kind of ask the niche questions because it's the questions no interviewer asks and they're the ones I'm curious about. How were you having these meetings with Luke, right? Was it Zoom? Was it phone? Was it in person?
No, we had it over Zoom. Luke lives in Thirroul, which is in New South Wales.
And like how often? And like,
so we had a meeting first and Al and I had like prepped for this meeting and she was like, these are the things that you should ask and the things that you should say. And then he was going to be in Tamworth there's a big country music festival that happens in Tamworth every January. And so I saw him there and I played in their like showcase, and he hadn't like explicitly said, yeah, we want to sign you. But then basically after I came back, I was like, look, I need to figure out my life. Do you want to sign me or no? And they're like, yep, we love the album. Let's
So you had
do
to,
it.
so when did you sign with them?
So I signed my contract at the end of February. And I
Okay.
sent them a pitch email in December. So it happened pretty quickly.
Okay. Did you have to like scurry to get the album done for that?
No, so I actually wanted the album to be finished in December, but sometimes that's not what happens.
So you kind of sent him the album to where it was at.
The album was not finished, and it was also at varying degrees of like being mixed. So he kind of signed the record on a half mixed, half finished album, which is very, well, like, obviously had a lot of confidence in what it was going to sound like when it was finished. And then we finished the album like right down to the wire. Like I sent off the album for mastering like 3 days before it had to go to the vinyl pressing to get the like stamp made for the vinyl.
Right.
So it was all pretty like last minute, but yeah.
I see. I think what I was going to ask, well, I also have segments in this podcast, which
yes.
I'm going to get to in a
Yeah.
second. But I wanted to just ask quickly. I feel like this industry is a really hard one to like stick at, and I know that we're like similar ages, close, and I feel like not many people actually get to this point unless they've become like hella famous, like Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard, and it's like so easy to be like, I'm actually yeeting this.
Oh, so many times I have been like, I'm actually yeeting
I'm done with this.
Even like before I started writing this record, I was like, I'm yeeting this. I'm quitting. Multiple times during writing this album, I've been serious about quitting music and never doing it.
What has made you persevere?
Because I'm not good at anything else. I mean, like, there's other things that I'm good at, but I only became good at them because I had to do it. I had to learn how to do it out of necessity.
Yeah.
Like, I do all of my own graphic design for my merch and not every single piece of merch, but the like most current ones. And like I did the album artwork for the vinyl and the CDs, and like I learnt how to make music videos, and it's the only thing that I'm really passionate about. So I think I just eventually, sometimes you just need a break from the industry because it is like the most intense highs and the most intense lows.
Totally.
And it's like 50,000 no's to one yes, and you just have to really hope that there is another yes coming because you're in a sea of no's.
Yeah, I feel that.
So yeah, I think I just, after I have a tantrum, want to come back to it eventually.
Nice.
So
this takes me into the first segment of the podcast.
yes.
It's called I Know I'm Not the Only One. We talk about embarrassing stories. Take a minute to think if you need time.
Well, look, to be honest, this is going to sound such like a wanky thing. Like I said before, it takes a lot to embarrass me.
True.
Like,
What is the time when you felt like,
but I can think of things I'm like, you're a fucking idiot.
okay, go.
Just recently, this is,
You're already cringing. This is the
it's
feeling.
more just like, why did you do that? Why were you not smart enough to think about that? So I did my own vinyl inserts for Girlhood, and I remember looking up how big is a vinyl insert? I'll just make it to that. And then I didn't double check it, and I got it printed and they were way too big. Like they're massive. And that was also expensive as well.
I feel like that's like trial and error.
But it shouldn't be trial and error because you should just get it right the first time
No
when you're spending
one gets it right the first time.
$800.
Okay. That's a lot of money, but it's your first
But
time.
it gets so much worse.
You'll never do that again. Get the
Well,
wrong size.
But never get the wrong size again. So then I'm like to Suitcase, hey, can you just print my inserts? I want it to be done right. They're like, yes, cool. Send us the stuff. I send over the thing, and they're like, they get the vinyl inserts. They're packing my vinyl, and they're like, hey, there's a spelling error in your insert.
They picked it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was supposed to pick it up because that's my job.
But that's also so good that they picked it up.
I know.
Like, go off.
But and I was like, oh, who cares? But it was literally the first line of the insert. It said Earlhood instead of Girlhood. And I was like, ugh. And I thought about like, do I go in and I write a G on 550 vinyl inserts?
Yes.
No, that's insane, Hayley.
Okay.
That's an insane thing to do.
I've got something funny to say, but
So then I'm like, okay, reprint them. And then I went into the artwork to like change it. And there was also a bunch of other errors in it too. So like
really?
probably for the best that I caught it.
What type of error? Spelling
errors, like just like formatting stuff. There was also like a half a sentence that was behind a photo that I didn't realize. So it was just it probably wouldn't have made that much sense.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is all great though. It's trial and error.
Well,
it's the first time doing it.
It's fine, but it's ended up being like
an expensive trial and error.
$1,400 mistake, which is not ideal for someone who's already
it's not ideal.
Not running at I'm not running at a profit at all.
Maybe if it was like your 5th time printing vinyls, I'd be like, you're an idiot. But like first time, go. I'd do the same. Favorite track on the record right now? I know it'll change.
I think it's Girlhood, mostly because that one's the newest.
Fair.
Probably because, I'm
a
child.
The one that took the longest to finish.
Probably Last Transmission, which is it's the live song, just because I like edited that down. Or potentially a song called My Body Was Not My Own, because I was just really making sure I said what I wanted to say and got it exactly right.
And which was the one that was the quickest to finish?
Bittersweet at best.
True.
I literally just...
Bittersweet at best.
We don't even need the sound bites.
No.
I just picked up my guitar and opened my mouth and it just flopped out.
That was it.
And that was it. And I was like, this is shit. And then we were recording demos, me, Dan, and Kieran. And I was like, oh, let me just do this one extra one. I'll just do it me and my guitar. It's not very good, but I mean, I'll just have it just in case. And then they both almost cried. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess not shit.
That's when you knew.
Yeah. I love making men cry. So it was a real great moment for me.
I love that. Who do you want to collaborate with in the future? Like, who's your dream? It doesn't even have to be an artist, actually. You can give us an artist, but you can also give us a brand. You can give us actually anything.
Oh.
Yeah. Think outside the box.
I mean,
if you
dream
want.
of dreams is obviously Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
But like artists in Australia, I would love to write with Greta Ray. I think she's just like one of the most incredible songwriters ever of all time. Like, I just don't know how her brain works. And I feel like I would also be like, yeah, I want to write with this person. And then I would get in the writer's room and feel so intimidated because they're so amazing. But yeah, I'd love to write with Greta. Hit me up.
Greta, where you at?
Love you.
We've just top coated the nails. They're very holographic.
Wow.
They're very girlhood.
I've never had pretty nails like this. This is a real
they're pretty
thrill for me.
I love it. I feel like we've spoken about so many things. Grant writing, funding your own album.
Doing all the things.
On your own, figuring it out.
Being bad at Ableton.
Being terrible at production, but still putting out music. And
still giving it a shot.
Yeah. And we've spoken about the new album Girlhood coming out June 16th. Pre-order, pre-save, or purchase.
Yeah, it might be out.
Or stream.
Yeah.
If it's out now, go stream it.
Stream it.
And I feel like I just wanted to say that what I'm so inspired by with listening to the new album and your previous stuff is the fact that you just say it without trying to be cool or trying to be something else. It feels very authentic and very genuine, and something that I get a little bit scared to do because I am scared of that. I don't know. So it's something that even for my future records, I want to tap into a little bit more, just like trying not to be cool, trying not to, and just being a little bit vulnerable and feeling a little bit uncomfortable and almost like cringy sometimes. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I feel like also I am never going to be a cool person.
I think you're cool.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't have like the cool card. I am excited about things and like I'm not like acting like, but I don't care about this success. I don't care about this thing. Like, I care.
Yeah.
I care a lot.
But I think that resonates with people. Like, no one really feels cool ever. Do you know what I mean? Like, even if people view it as cool, I just don't think people really ever feel cool. And I think that's why people resonate so much with Taylor Swift. Like, she literally has the world, like,
she's a cringy girl.
But she's just so her.
Yeah.
And people resonate with that because it's comforting knowing that someone who can be like so themselves and so, I guess, cringy,
can
be so famous it makes other people feel like, oh, okay, I don't actually have to try and be fucking cool. I can actually just be me and be comfortable with that, and then that just is what it is. And, you know, and I think you and your album possess so much of that, and that inspires me for my future records and something I want to tap into a little bit more. So that's where I was going with that.
Yeah. I think it's just so much easier just to say it how you feel it. I'm too lazy to
try to be anything else.
Rewrite it. Like, I feel like that first album, I probably could have edited some things because that was very honest and
but like so is Taylor Swift's early
but also
stuff.
Like, who cares? I mean, at the end of the day, who cares? Those people are privileged to have a song written about them. So you're welcome.
There it is. Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me and doing my nails.
I'm so stoked about this new album. I got to hear it before everyone else. Ha ha. No. And I mean, I only got halfway through.
Well, have a list. If you want to, listen to the rest. And
I will.
Tell me what you think.
What do you think is the perfect setting for listening to this album on first play? You know, set the scene for everyone for the first listen.
I feel like this album, I wrote it subconsciously and then later on kind of consciously for my teenage self. And I think about listening to it like on my old CD player in my like poster covered bedroom. So I feel like the, you know, most amount of like versions of you as your teenage self should be part of your listening experience.
Okay. I'm currently living back at my parents', so maybe hopping back in my old bedroom. I just found my old Justin Bieber posters. Maybe I'm putting them back up. I found my old Cabbage Patch doll. She's going, you know, I'm chilling there.
Yep. When we shot the music video for I'm a Rich Man, there is a scene in that where I'm in a bedroom writing in my actual teenage diary.
Wow.
With like, we put posters up on the wall as a little Easter egg to Girlhood.
Because we love to do that.
Yeah. So
go back to your
go
child
back to
youth.
your teenagehood, your girlhood, we should say.
Yeah. Wherever that is.
Wherever that may be.
Put the record on.
And have a recreational cry if you need to.
Love it.
Or a screech for some songs.
Either. Both.
We have a wide array.
It's all encouraged.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Nails are sparkling and they match the ring.
This is my girlhood ring. I bought it.
Wow.
After
it's so fitting.
Deal.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, that's it for the podcast. That's it for this episode. We'll be on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and
all the things.
All the things. So that's us. Done.
Shiny.
Bye.
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 If you would like to keep up to date with the podcasts and guests I have coming up, you can follow the Instagram page at canwebefriends.podcast. I'm on TikTok, CWBF Podcast. It's new, it's fresh. Go chuck a follow. If you would like to check out my artist page, you can find me at walter.music and Walter Rockstar on TikTok. And if you would like to check out Hayley, at Hayley Marsten on Instagram. We'll also be on YouTube with a little video of the nails. So if you want to watch some nails get done while we chat, you know where to go. See you next time. Bye.